Hi, this is Dr. Scott, and today we're going to do the last of the series. I thought it was going to be done after three, but we went to six. By the way, we're going to count in sign language. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is how you do six in sign language. So, by the way, so this is the fun part of this one here. It's the corrupting of the 2022 midterms. We'll take a little break in there so you can kind of flip into how it comes into the 2024 timeframe, because we got to kind of go over some of that kind of stuff that keeps coming up and how it's kind of funky in that way with that too. Okay, so as we come up to the 2022 midterms, we were wondering what was going to occur. I remember there was a real question mark because they hadn't passed the executive order 1381 or 13848. They hadn't, it was coming up to its expiration date. That is the one that says we're in a national emergency, but it was coming up for expiration on 9/12 of 2022. Okay. So if it doesn't get passed again at that point in time, then I know Derek Johnson and I were talking about this on camera together. It was like, oh man, maybe is this going to be that time frame with that? And it was done in 2018 because what they wanted to do is catch the idiots in the 2018 election, so that we caught them in all the same stuff that they kept doing with the election and the voting fraud with that too. Okay, so but they did pass it again, and who passed it? The AutoPen stuff that kept coming up, right? So, and I keep going into this one here because these are a portion of the corporation pushing in all of their chips and keeping in the people in power. So I keep saying this. If you have fraudulent people doing a fraudulent job, people go, can we get Nancy Pelosi? And they would talk about Biden. Can we get Nancy Pelosi out of office? Can we vote her out of office? And I just go, guys, you don't understand. All of them are illegally in office. Even the people that you would look at and are good people who are in office, they're actually not legally in office. The only one we know for a fact who won his election is Donald Trump in 2016 and Donald Trump in 2024. We can count those two at that. The outside of that, almost no one else we know anything about with that too. Okay? So what happens with those other people in those elections is that all of them have to be reelected all the way through and through. And that is a big portion of the Nasara stuff. Okay, so when we go back into 2022, we see this kind of silliness happening in the areas. Guy's trying to vote, and he can't even vote for Republican. Over and over again, it votes only for Democrat. No matter what he does, he cannot vote in the same kind of thing. This is the kind of stuff that they were doing if you had screen issues. And I mean, this was going on everywhere with it too. Now I'm going to have to play this other one in mute mode because it's got music and it will mess up with the censor stuff. But you're not going to miss anything because everything that's going to be on there is going to be on the screen here. Okay. So let me pause this for a half a second. This is Chester County in Pennsylvania. This is a May primary, 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks of a video, one drop of a box, a small sampling of 300 occurrences at one drop. So this is a drop box. Okay. This is part of like the voter fraud. This is the 2,000 mules kind of stuff. Now in 2020, they showed the 2,000 mules. Now 2022, they were really watching it. But it wasn't just the military watching it. We were over the military watching. Trust me, the military was watching it. But now the people were watching it. Okay? So this is a video of that kind of stuff, right? So, and all it is people talking in the background or watching it. Okay, so look at this kind of thing. You must return your own ballot. You're prohibited from delivering or returning anyone else's ballot, even if it's your spouse, parent, grandparent, relative, your friend. If a voter has a disability, the voter may have it delivered only if both parties have signed an official written authorization. Now, I know this too because I think it was in 2018 or 2020. I don't remember which one I did. Where I had to have like I had an envelope, and then I had to have a sealed envelope, and I had to get it notarized with that too. Okay, and here's what I'm trying to show you is that there is actual election laws. They actually post these election laws. They give you the phone number, the email of these election laws that are stamped on the box. Okay? This is how serious these things. These code violations are not just like little tiny violations. These are 5 to 25 years in jail. Okay, and this is how fraudulent they continue to do it, and how like in your face they do it. Okay, it gets to it. Sorry, guys. Guy comes up, another guy comes up, another person comes up. They're all doing it left and right. Postal worker, by the way, did you see the postal worker there? Postal worker doing it. All of these people are all these people are doing it over and over again, and every one of them are caught on camera with this. They have no idea how much this is coming toward them. And you go, well, is this really going to get caught? It's caught. They are toast. Do we know that they've gone to jail or not gone to jail? I don't know. But do you think that these people are not taken care of by the military? I mean, the one had blue. Look how many ballots these people have. 3 to 5 of them, 8 of them. That's not their mother's thing. I mean, that might be a couple of things. Look at the ballots that are illegal, left and right, over and over again. Now, maybe a couple of these, husband and wife, they might get away with that. Might. But most of them are not in those kind of categories with that kind of thing, too. Big problem. This is the kind of activity that was happening nationwide over and over again. This is just one county with that kind of thing, too. Now, as we kind of pull this off, I want to kind of bring up, so as we move forward into 2022, they kept telling you over and again, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but they told you over and over again, Joe is sharp as a tack. I mean, I can't keep up with them. Like all the idiots in the administration, is fake administration, were telling us sharp as a tack, smartest guy in the world. You know, I can barely keep up with them. Every single one of the morons were telling you that. And everyone in media, which tells you they're all in lockstep together, which is part of their fraud, which is part of their stupid, right? Now, if you wanted to replace him, and they were not allowed to replace him, I'm telling you right now, they were not allowed. This is more of a white hat operation than you ever realize. They were not allowed to replace him. They should have replaced him in 2023. He should have said, I'm not going to be going. Or how about in early 2024, easily to a good time frame to move over. They could have moved the money over. But see, here's the one thing. We know that the super PAC money that was gathered up would not be utilized toward anyone else, that only Kamala could use it. They were in a conundrum because of that kind of money. We'll talk about that money a little bit later. So what do? But they kept waiting. Again, they know it's coming. They know they can't get past it. And then he accepts a moronic. And I remember the night of this. I was on with a friend of mine named Mark Z. We were on a Thursday night. We always do a Thursday night thing. We had no idea what was going to happen. And then he fumbles on live TV in front of everyone. And I thought they were going to cover for him. And no one covered for him. They kept, I mean, the media kept piling on Joe and just pounding on him. And yet Jill, later on that night, she goes, "Oh, Joe, you answered every question." Well, that's like saying, I took the test and I answered every question. Yeah, but you answered every question wrong, kind of thing. I mean, like, if you answer every question wrong, even though you answered every question, doesn't mean you answered every question right. I mean, they're just stupid. But it's June of 2024. It's too late. And here's the thing that you don't realize. Trump spent $324 million. That's really ugly. He spent as much as 10 to 20% of it on salaries. Okay. And still, that's way too much. In the future, I really want to see, a quarter of that on presidential kind of races. It's ridiculous. We should not have to have, hundred millions of dollars to be spent, on campaigns. It should never be that kind of way. We should have regular people being able to accomplish those kinds of jobs, all of those jobs, and all of those levels, because that actually breeds the fraud. But what happens to the potential candidate? So they bring on Kamala, and you have to understand a little bit about Kamala, because we got to show a little bit about who this person is before we give you some of the stuff about her. Now, Kamala is a person who is well hated in the Democratic parties. Even Schumer had told her to shut up on camera. She is on Montrell Williams as arm candy late in the 90s. This is a person who's a dummy in every way, shape, and form, and everyone knows it. Very, very, very moves up the ranks through questionable means, okay? So we know that kind of stuff happens. And yet, this is some of the...
Just me, or what is this creature that doesn't breathe and has fish gills or...
What is this kind of stuff underneath her? That isn't the real issue. That isn't the real Kamala right there. That is a mask, and it is a mask. But anyone who knows anything about masks, it doesn't have to... My shirt is unbuttoned here, right? If my shirt was unbuttoned, why wouldn't I have the mask way down here instead of having the mask way up here that's easily visible? Again, part of the movie, guys, part of the movie. And then we have this kind of stuff.
Oh, check this out.
Kamala Harris is about to hold the first campaign rally of her bid for president. Alexis, what do you have?
Hey, Dana, well, if you can see behind me here, there's not a huge line outside of this high school. It's going to be at a high school auditorium where Kamala Harris is going to hold her first rally as a now presidential candidate. What does a rally look like for Kamala Harris?
Well, we'll show you.
See, but I want to show you this because it looks a lot different than
Look
most of the
at
rallies I've
this.
covered since I've been kind
How
of following on Trump.
pathetic.
It's only a few hours until Kamala Harris is set to be here, and there's like 20 people outside here. This field outside. She's ready to
20 people
we
outside.
spend an overnight waiting in line with tens of thousands of people. Give me a fucking break, clown.
It is clown's work. Sorry about the cussing, but the reality is, if Obama belittled Biden in private, and we know that for a fact, Kamala is Biden's dummy on top of it, and she's always been known as that. I'll give you another little video that actually comes up here too. This is even more funny with this too.
We're looking at over 220 million Americans who just in the last several months died.
What? Listen to that again.
We're looking at over 220 million Americans who just in the last several months died.
NBC just the other day paid out $16 million to Trump because in the campaign he had a $1 billion case against him. He didn't care how much he would win off of that, but they paid $16 million because they edited out her rambling, stupid mess. So how much did she have? Well, she had $500 million from Super PAC, and she raised, this is raised, she didn't raise it, she did it in 90 days. They desperately gathered together every dollar. She had as much as $2 billion. Now, some people would say it's about 1.5, but even if you believe 1.5 or $2 billion, she was still $50 million underneath her capabilities for running this campaign. And she spent over half of it on salaries. There was a podcast that instead of flying to LA, she brought the podcasters in. They spent $100,000 for a simple set design. And I'm not talking about like amazing star-studded things. It looks like IKEA level set design with a stupid, couple of chairs. And they're really basic chairs. And I'm going, $100,000? Who made money off of this thing? And it's a horrible, horrible podcast. On top of this, you know that they had to edit the snot out of it. This is the kind of stupid that they went through. Now, we also know some of these other things that we went through here, right? So we have as well, let's see if I can show you. I need to load this one here. I need to load this one that you'll love seeing this one. This is how ridiculous. Every time we turned around, we saw the cackling nature of like, come on. I mean, it's a joke to everyone and their brother, right? You know that's a joke. Okay, so we have to, as we move forward and we see some things, there is stuff on her birth certificate that doesn't actually match up effectively. Was she really from America? Her birthplace is from India. So was she really American? Could she actually do what she might have done? What if she was part of the AutoPen? Well, that would charge her with treason. Guarantee you that's a problem. And you have to understand too, this is part that I showed you this one before. This is the 2020 caucuses, and where is anywhere of Kamala's where's Kamala on this list? Is Kamala even part of the list? And she wanted to run at this time frame too. Is Kamala even part of the list? Why didn't any one of these other people, why didn't they bring any one of these other people out there? Should I wait for just a little bit? Okay. So we also know this one in the background as well. I'm going to show you this one here. I forgot to load this one up here. I want to load this one here in the background. Sorry about that. I'm loading a few things as we speak here.
Did you find yourself wondering if that special earring was a family heirloom, or was it perhaps a speaker where someone could speak to?
So she did a video. I mean, she did a speech back and forth, and she was answering the question so well with this too. And we
Some
know
ether-
a little bit
special
more
edition.
about the
right.
background of that little speaker that she has.
A theory about the conspiracy.
Foremost, one of my.
And this is a Bluetooth kind of speaker, a capability for her to understand what she's doing. And we know this kind of stuff. This is how she was able to hear and get her answers. Okay. Okay. So yeah, we hear this kind of thing, but here's what I want you to see. So we're going to bring this up on the screen, and I want you to understand they continue to do this kind of stuff to you. Okay. There is no way in God's green earth that she possibly won. They keep trying to tell you, I mean, and obviously she didn't win, but how did she get 75 million votes? Trump in his supposed loss he gets 74 million. She gets 75 million? No, she didn't. She didn't win these states. She didn't win California. She didn't win these other states out here. And it was a resounding win, but he gets 2 million over a very unpopular vote. And did you know that some of the conspiracy theories by the Democrats themselves are that Kamala really did win more recently? This is how ridiculous that they continue to be. Okay, let's leave you a little bit with this little gem of how they all feel about what really went on.
Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine, for NATO.
By the way, they're telling you all the people that they were going to line up against Trump down the road. They keep telling you those same things. Haven't you been hearing that on some of those TikToks, right? I keep showing you this. This is the kind of stuff that they were going to line up against you and get you all upset about. But this is the stuff on election night is what they said, what they were doing, and what they were going to line up against you over and over again now in June, July.
For the truth and democracy and decency. And it was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him.
Kamala Harris is a woman of color in an interracial marriage, running as a woman to be the head of state. That is something a lot of Americans are not ready to deal with.
I'm surprised at the result, but I'm not surprised. As a woman of color, I was so hopeful that a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
Pointing back to 2016, sexism, I'm going to say also racism and bias had to have played a role.
Now, let me state the obvious. One person is a woman, and this now makes Trump 2 for 2 in beating out a woman to become our president. Let me just ask this simply. It could be tough to answer. Is this country not ready for a woman to become president?
If she were a 6'4" white man from Arkansas or from, Florida, and she ran a good middle of the road campaign talking about reaching out, do you think she would be losing by that much? If she could like chew tobacco and carry a shotgun and talk about football and be a guy's guy, I mean, you tell me.
There are levels of sexism and racism that clearly a lot of people in this country are willing to tolerate.
This is the kind of stuff that they have to push, they have to tell you in their own ways. And this is why they say those stuff that they say. Now you have to kind of say, you have to rise above this, okay? As we finish the series, rise above these kinds of comments, okay? Remember what I keep telling you. It's media, it's government, and it's the movies, Hollywood, who are all trying to convince you of against the narrative. They have their own narrative. They're trying to screw with your ability, screw with your faith, and they mess with your belief every single day. And so I see people all the time, I just don't believe anymore. No, you were riding on your hope, and the longer that it goes, it messes with your hope because you've been listening to these kinds of comments over and over again, whether it's even, conservative ones, conservative voices that are saying some bad things about Trump or saying some bad things about this or that. You have to block out those kinds of comments, because what those things do is they break your hope down. Man, if I listened to the things that would mess with my marriage, I wouldn't be at 32 and a half years of marriage, right? I'd be over there with another woman or whatever, or not married at all, or whatever that circumstance is, because what those things would be doing is messing with my marriage. That's what Satan wants to do, is he wants to have you with no hope, no faith. So these video evidence points helps you to do what? See to believe. But blessed are those who don't see and yet believe, because that's the definition of faith. Thanks so much.